I suck at art, but I want to do it anyway. So it's 2025. I have had a major, you know, going from a full-time concept artist to a freelance, doing illustrations as well, learning how to make a manga, and lots of other things. So because of that, I was just like, man, this is like a real shift in my life, and that brought me the idea, like, why not I make an illustration around that? And, use the word shift, like, on that illustration, and I'm not sure, like, how am I going to proceed? So there I was, just, sketching down thumbnails, figuring out, like, um, what kind of drawing I would make around that concept. And I thought, like, yeah, I'm gonna record this. I'm gonna make a, like a short video, and then it turned out that that video is not short. It's like 30 minutes long, to be honest. So bear with me for the next 30 minutes, like that you're gonna be listening to my voice. And yeah, I was just like exploring thumbnails, and I really love the idea. Like, oh shit, what if this person is like, what if I draw this character who is like this person walking on the bridge, and the bridge has like this advertisement board on top of it saying, like, shift, just shift into life, and that person's just walking towards something, or like walking from one place to another. That's basically what I was thinking of. And initially, when I romanticized this idea, I was just like, yeah, this is pretty cool. I love the idea, I love the story. And I decided to make like a character, like, just a very basic character around it. Um, just spent like a day or something just like coming up with the idea of what I wanted to do. And as far as like my life is concerned, I was just like, yeah, man, I like the whole freelance gig. It gives me a lot of free time. It allows me to do things I always wanted to do. Like, one of them was starting a YouTube channel. I just wanted to start a YouTube channel to document my stuff, nothing else. Like, never really cared about, oh, maybe I should monetize or something like that. No, never thought of all that stuff. But I was just like, yeah, I really want to get myself out there. Get my artwork, explore and learn, basically. Be a better artist. That was the whole reason why I said I want to make this video. No other reasons whatsoever the case. And I was just having fun. I was just having fun. For once, I didn't have to worry about how the characters were supposed to look, how the environment was supposed to look, how good or bad the artwork was. I didn't have to care. I was not worried for once, and it felt good. It felt really good. And that was like the plus. That was like the best thing I could take out from this. It just felt so fun to make these things. And yeah, man, I was just in the zone for that. But there we were, just making my thing and doing my stuff, and then, like, not being that worried that whether I'll have a job or not. Just drawing to have fun. And I started like just creating this thing. And I was like coloring, painting, and I was just having fun doing this stuff, just drawing away. And like, till then, I just felt like this was one of the best pieces I was going to come out with. And just paint it away endlessly without the worry of any problems. And just have fun. Like, I couldn't repeat myself. Like, even if I repeat myself endless number of times, it was just that. It was all about just having fun. And there we go. I tried new experimentations, like painting different techniques, which I wouldn't normally get to do at work because, work required different demands. Wanted me to like draw in a very specific way, in a completely different style than what I wanted to do. I wanted to explore more anime stuff. That was one of the cool things that I always wanted to do. It's not like my love for anime came from a very different place. However, like by the time I reached to this, I was beginning to feel that this may not be the best work I've done. And as far as an illustration is concerned, it feels good. It's definitely sending the message, but it wasn't the way I wanted it to. I do like when my illustration piece feels a little more cinematic, and I couldn't get it. I couldn't achieve it, at least not in this attempt. I was trying to do that, and that's where I was failing. I was like genuinely failing, and I was like, oh, my art's not there yet. It's feeling okay at best while I was drawing this, and that's basically when this is where I realized like maybe I could push it better. But I didn't think about it at that point. At that point, I was just like growing away and partly in two minds. I wasn't sure whether I wanted this or not. So it was like a failure. I wanted to delete it. And I thought I did. But I thought maybe I should do over. And that's when I thought, like, what if I did it in 3D instead? And I've been learning 3D, like, just basic 3D modeling and a little bit of texturing and, like a little bit of like creating like uh, different kinds of textures and all that stuff. And I thought, like, what if I put it to a test? What if I actually do it? I normally don't. Most of my work is always 2D, and that's basically what my concept art work has always demanded me for. Maybe at best 3D blockouts, but like never like putting my time into like painting 3D textures. And this was like my very first attempt of doing it, and I was just like, yeah, what if I try that? What if I start making like what if I start including my 3D skills a little more than what I would, and be a little uncomfortable while doing it, like maybe experiment and don't expect like the best illustration piece from it, but like at least come out with something cool. And that's what got me into like, yeah, maybe I should do it. Just create basic 3D models and texture them. And that's pretty much what I started doing. Like, I took that bridge, which I wanted, with the boarding, with the advertisement board, which said shift. And I said, like, what if I break it down into, like, simple components, which I could, like, reuse in that piece. I'll take those individual components and actually texture them. And that's basically what I started doing. And it was fun. Dude, this was one of the coolest things. Hand painting textures was, like, I think probably the best thing I've ever discovered last year in 2024. Probably I'm going to improve and learn better in 25. But at this point, I was still not sure whether I'm going to come up with something cool. So I said, like, yeah, let's just do it away. Just experiment. Just experiment as much as you can. I had like a total roller coaster ride as far as emotions are concerned, because I was just not sure where I'm going with this. That's all. But I was having fun, like these, like the way I could create these normal maps and create this metallic texture, give it like different kind of you know feel to the whole image and everything. But it was like I wasn't sure um how much the placement would come, and only like I think one of the mistakes I did, I wouldn't say a mistake, like one of the beginner errors I did was I didn't plan out this really well, and that's okay because you learn those plannings as you keep trying, and as you keep trying, test it, and you kind of explore and realize, oh, what if I did like this process in this specific method, and that's how you kind of improve on it. So I told myself, I think I'll just take it slow, try this out, and just say like everything will be fine. At least whatever I planned, I knew I was doing it anyways. So yeah, I just kept on doing it, and like taking each piece and like painting it. By now I had a very good familiarity with like how the layers work in Substance Painter. That's basically what I was using. And I was like creating like these maps and everything and exporting them. Coming up with new like, or like coming up with unique effects that I could think of, and just trying the best I can and like making this piece. It was fun. It was really fun. I did take a lot of breaks while doing this. I remember that like I was just like, okay, I'm not doing this every single day. I'm going to take breaks and I'll try to do the best I can. And this is where I was realizing, wait a minute, why am I recreating this texture again, again and again and again, when I've already created this same texture for a lot of these models already? So there was a point where I was like creating these, like the unique, like the unique shapes like these. I was like doing the texture, but like the moment they were like repetitive objects, or like repetitive you know like parts, I said, okay, yeah, I can just use the same texture and it'll be fine. But like these unique shapes, I was like still creating textures, and I was like, okay, fine. It kind of gave me an idea, like, okay, unique stuff definitely needed. Like this thing, for example, and the pole which I did from like prior to that unique shape, I said like, wait a minute, why do I need textures for these? So that was something I realized. I was like, oh wait, I could just reuse it, and that's why I just skipped it. I said like, no, to hell with it. I don't want to make more textures. I'm kind of done. And then I started placing all the started placing all the objects, started placing all the components that I had created and modeled. I had done a block out already before this, so I knew where each piece was going. That was something I already planned out, and I said like, good. That was something I did, was like I said, I'm always gonna do that thing. That's for sure. So yeah, I was just I was just at this phase. I was just like blocking things out, and it didn't take me long. It took me like barely like an hour at best just to adjust everything and set up stuff. Um, watch a lot of YouTube tutorials while at it, and just 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 go through things, like watch tutorials and just keep trying to get the whole piece done. So yeah, got this done, mirrored some stuff, um, and I was just like planning, taking breaks, planning, taking breaks, planning, and then coming back to it and setting the whole thing up. It was nice. It was really nice. I felt this was one of the parts in modeling, uh, that when I said I'm setting up a scene in its entirety, I think this was like probably the first time I did it where I wasn't sure what the scene is going to be about. Not because I have not made thumbnails or anything around it, it's just that um, I wasn't sure where I was going to take the shot from. There was like a point where I was like, um, maybe I'll have to set the camera somewhere. Maybe I'll have to set the placement of where I'm taking that shot. What if it's the same scene, the same like the drawing, where it's like where the camera is like right up front facing that billboard, and it's just gonna be in the same um, position as the illustration piece I did in 2D, right? But then I was like, no, wait, that's not what I want to do. I've already done that, so why should I be doing that? I wanted to make it more cinematic. That's the reason why I'm doing 3D in the first place. So yeah, I did this like custom shaders that I was like creating to give this kind of like a its own uh, anime style effect in lighting. It was fun. It was really fun. And that's when I realized, oh wait, what if I can do like a close-up shot where the camera is on the ground of of the bridge, like on the floor of the bridge, and the shot's going to come up from there. So I was like, okay, wait, I got an idea of where the camera is going to be. Now let me just set up all the lightings correctly. And that's where I started planning out the lightings, like which light to go in and which light to go out, and how much lighting do I need. And here's the cool part: I actually had this weird Fresnel modifier added, like a node to the, not a modifier, I think it's a node, yeah, a Fresnel node. So, and that node was like, I basically asked that node to light up like the edges in a specific angle, but like it should be lighting up in this weird blue color. So that's what you see at the far end of that bridge. And I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. That's like, it's giving that really weird atmospheric effect with lightings and everything. And then, yeah, just experimenting with the sky and just like wondering, what if it's a day scene? What if it's a night scene? What if it's like a evening scene? And I just went with like, okay, no, I just keep the default nighttime kind of BG and it's completely fine. And yeah, just adjust the overall, like, brightness or darkness of the background color. That's it. And yeah, so far it was looking good, and finally I felt like, oh shit, the do-over is worth it. It's feeling more promising now, and I'm really liking what I'm doing. It's not my best piece. I knew that already. I knew it won't be my best piece by far. But to be able to go from like just 2D artwork to actually setting up an entire scene in 3D, even if the textures are not so great, but trying to come up with your own style of textures, that was like a pretty cool thing to do for me. And I was like, okay, I should do this more and more from now on, like whenever I can, not just like paint, but also use 3D stuff, like because it's so fun to use 3D stuff. Um, and like definitely a massive shout out to Blender for always being open source and having this like amazing software for free. Like it made me fall in love with Blender so much more because of this, and it was just one of the best feelings that I felt, and it made me say like, oh, I'm gonna learn, like at least this year in 2025. I'm probably gonna spend the entire time learning Blender, like so much more of Blender. But yeah, regardless of that, I was like, now I was feeling very confident on this piece, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm getting there. I think the painting's gonna come out good. So I was like just doing the final tweaking and adjustments of where the camera is gonna be and a little bit of where the lights are gonna be placed and all that stuff. And yeah, I pretty much got it. I was experimenting with like longer lens shots because I wanted it cinematic. What if it's like a wider scene or something like that? And then I think I just decided to go with the basic, um, 1920 1080p resolution kind of shot. And just adjusting the lights a bit more. There's one thing I want to say is that these shaders were built in such a way that the lights, the color of the light that would fall on the shader would uh, matter on what color the shader is, what RGB or color ramp you're using, like, what color space. So even if my light is like white in color or like a blue light, it's still gonna shine a yellow light on the object surface. So that was like one hurdle that I realized in the very end when I was rendering this piece, and I was just like, I think I'll just go for it, man. If I want to change it, let's do it in 2D now. And that's when I started like painting in everything I had rendered out in 3D and just started painting over. I wanted some of the stuff in 3D still to remain, so I was like, okay, I'm not going to completely paint over the 3D objects. My objective here was how I can merge my 3D paintings. I mean, not paintings, sorry, my 3D modeling and renders with my 2D paintings. I wanted to make my painting as seamless as I could. At least that was my initial objective, and it still is, to be fair. So I just went straight in. I said like, okay, I'm gonna start painting stuff. Came out with the idea of how I want this to be. And started off with the environments, said okay, I'll paint the buildings in first, all the buildings which are far back, all the buildings that are in front. Yeah, it was pretty nice, and then just getting an idea of where the light sources will be. Then I started painting in the BG, the sky, and all that stuff, like how the sky is gonna come out. I wanted the sky to have that very, anime inspired sky with those clouds and stuff, but a little painterly rather than having like really defined clouds. I wanted like a bit, it feels loose as a paint. And that's what I want. That's what I was going for, and I said, okay, fine. That's how I'll paint this guy's in. It wasn't too hard. That was something I got like real quick, and so did like the overall rendering of the buildings. This was part of the. I guess this was the part where I was just quite sure how I wanted to paint this. And I was having fun. I was like, I was like, yes, this is what I want. This is the kind of a piece that I was trying to make. It doesn't have to be amazing, but something that I'm gonna be content with. So, yeah, I just started making this in this fashion. Selecting and like planning out like all my passes and all the stuff that I could pull out from my 3D renders, and just trying to create the best shot I could. And there you have it. That was like an immediate boost. When I did this, that was when I realized, oh, this is gonna look really good now. Giving it a little bloom and making it look all really cool. And the character as well. I just created like a simple character with I said okay, what if I put one of my OC characters? There was an OC character I created some time ago called TV. Basically a character with a TV head that travels around the world and just looks around things. Probably takes shots of themselves in wherever they travel. That's all. That was literally what this character was about. And I still draw this character. Most of the time I paint this character, I make this character I take a photograph of wherever I'm traveling, and I'll just paint TV over that location. That's planning this character out, and I was fleshing. For once, I wanted this character instead of in a real environment. Why not put it in one of my paintings? Because this was kind of like a shift in my life. So yeah, kind of best way to do it is put your OC in there. And that was one of the things I thought I could try. So far it was coming out good. I was just This is probably one of the most fun things I've done, including this references that I was pulling out, and I was just like having fun. Okay, I need to design this reference in this pose, not in the exact same pose that's there in that reference image. Like, some of them were artwork, some of them were real poses of people. But it was fun trying to figure out how I wanted this reference to look like. So started like sketching TV out, like just sketching the character out. Getting my line art kind of solid just to plan out, okay, where the shadow is going to be, where the character, how the character is going to look, if all the pose of like the entire pose of the character looks good enough. Like, at least it shouldn't look completely off. Even if it's off by a little bit, it's fine, but not completely off. So just writing, just like with all my notes done, which I'm not showing in this video because it's like a hot mess. But I kind of got my character in, and I got my environment painting pretty much done with a mix of 3D and 2D. At this point, I was just like, yo, I actually did something which I'm not usually doing. It was pretty fun. And that's when I was like, okay, I think I'll get a good painting out of this. And now my confidence just boosted up. I was just like happy that I did something which I'm normally never doing, and I'm completely out of my comfort zone, and it's coming out. Like, it's getting me results. Like, not like results in the way like, oh, it should always get you results, but more like the trial and errors were kind of working out for me. And that was the joy I felt from like just drawing this personal piece and just being like, oh, this is all I want for like personal illustrations. It was kind of like a new eye opener for me at that point. Just and once I kind of worked on the line art like 3-4 times, although I've like cut off some of the footage. Once I kind of got all the line art done, I was mostly painting the character in, which did not take a long time for me. And I then had to do like some little level of adjustments with the character and the painting just to make the painting look good, or at least make the painting look a little, make it feel like it's part of, the 3D stuff and the 2D stuff are like all blending in together. That's when I was just like, okay, that's where I would call it. So yeah, and of course the font. I was using this font called Excluded, which I found like as an open license somewhere, and I was just like, I think I'll use this. I did a little adjustment with the spacing of the font, and that was something part of the experiment that I was just going through, and I was just like, yeah, let me just test it out. Let me just test it out where it will be placed, how it's going to be placed, and where it's going to be. So it took a little while because I was like trying to figure out how much of the wood is supposed to be visible, and without if there are any parts of it not visible, the person who sees this piece can still read it and make sense. Oh, that's what the word is. So, yeah, that's basically how I completed the whole painting, and this was the final, piece. So remember who you are and why you do this. Because failure is an option, but not an ultimatum.